Since our data table has now been completed, we want to graph our results. Graphing results is a really good idea to do because it allows someone who wasn't initially part of your investigation to quickly look at your results, and just by looking at a graph you can figure out what the independent variable was, what was the dependent variable was, and more importantly, what was the relationships, what happened in the investigation. So it is just a quick way and an easy way to sum up what happened in an experiment. So this small section is dedicated to graphing. Now I've already graphed our results and this is what it looks like. But how did I come up with it? Well, there's a couple of key points that you have to know. The first thing is, remember all three titles. You need to have a title on the x-axis, which is here. You need to have a title on the y-axis, which is the vertical line. And of course, the title, which a lot of people forget, is the one which sums up the entire graph. And if you notice, this title looks a lot like our question. It's not a question, it's a statement. So always remember to have all three titles. Next, make sure that the independent variable goes on the x-axis. This is shown here in purple. So from our question, from our hypothesis, we should know what the independent variable is, always on the x-axis. Now, contrary to that, the dependent variable goes on the y-axis. That's located here in orange. Remember, the y-axis is the vertical one. Another important tip is to plot your points and connect it with a line. Now, of course, you're only going to connect it with a line if you're doing a line graph, but since this is the most popular graph to be used, I figured it was important to mention. So I have three plots. Using x's is a good idea, and then it's just a more line of connect the x's. Well, that pretty much sums up on how to complete a graph. Now we're going to move on to step number 6, which is going to be our conclusion.